What is going on, everyone? This is Miles with Windows Central Gaming, and welcome to the 36th episode of Xbox Chaturdays. Today, I am stoked to be blessed by the presence of the mighty Lord Cognito, host of the Iron Lords podcast and co-host of Defining Duke. Lord Cognito, how you doing on this fine Saturday, my man?
Yo, Lord Miles, in the realm of the Chaturdays.
That's right.
I got the call. I got the invite to the big leagues. I'm ready. I got my cleanest IOP on right now. Yo, salute, man. I big fan of you, as you know. You've been in the realm before. Love your energy, and I love what you're doing with the platform, man. So it's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here. We got some great topics. I am excited, man. Let's do this, man.
Let's do it. I'm excited to get some one-on-one time with you because, yeah, like you said, I've been on the Iron Lords podcast, and that was a blast. Had a ton of fun, but I wanted to pull you from the group a little bit and get some one-on-one cog time in.
We're gonna build today.
So yeah, like you said, amazing list of topics today. We're going to be talking about Xbox competing directly with PlayStation, Phil Spencer's stance on that, Phil Spencer wanting to bring Game Pass to everything, but PlayStation, Nintendo maybe not sharing the same thoughts. We're going to be talking about indies carrying 2021, and we're going to be talking a little bit about our predictions for Gamescom and Xbox specifically at Gamescom. But before we dive into all of that, Lord Cognito, let the people know who you are, where they can find you, and why you love gaming.
No doubt. So as you said, Lord Cognito of the Iron Lord podcast and co-host of Defining Duke and co-host of the Last Word podcast, which is a Destiny podcast. But yeah, man, I'm at Lord Cognito on Twitter and like I said, the YouTube channel Iron Lords podcast. But yeah, just a gamer, man. Love games. Been originally from the South Bronx. Been gaming pretty much all my life, and just love to talk about different aspects of it, what's going on in the industry. We like to celebrate creators, so gaming literally is my life, from very beginning. It's funny because my mom kind of following me a little bit as my profile's gotten a little bit better, and it's funny because I always had to fight with her to prove the right to game and show why I should be doing it. So she's like, oh, okay, and she sees the faces and she understands it a little bit now. So now I don't get as much hassle as I used to back in the day growing up.
Yeah, because a lot of people outside, like you bring up parents, they don't get it. They don't get what gaming has become and what the industry is now. So yeah, you talking to my parents about what I do, and like, what do you do? What exactly do you do? And I'm like, I talk about video games and make videos about video games, and like, oh, that's nice, honey.
Nice.
Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it.
I feel that.
So yeah, I know you've been an amazing figure in the industry, and you've been, in the community for a long time. So again, stoked to have you on, stoked to have these conversations, and we're gonna dive right into the first one, which is Xbox Game Pass maybe not coming to everything, because Xbox has been very vocal about their belief that they want Xbox Game Pass, the service, to be as many places as possible. And earlier on in the year, we had kind of rumblings and conspiracy theories about, maybe Xbox Game Pass is coming to the Nintendo Switch. And there's been little things like that constantly. And there's been the conversations of, will Game Pass come to PlayStation? And Phil Spencer, in a recent interview with Games Radar, kind of broke down his belief that he wants Xbox Game Pass everywhere, but that closed platforms such as PlayStation and Nintendo maybe don't want it. So what I want to have a conversation with you about is, what could Xbox do to incentivize a PlayStation or Nintendo to bring Game Pass to their platform?
Ooh, we doing it. Okay,
doing it. Yeah, let's go.
Look, I agree. I think in a perfect world, this is the direction Microsoft's going, right? Game Pass, this games as a service thing, almost the Netflix in a sense of video games. And yeah, ideally, their goal is beyond just the hardware of their own hardware and to get it on PC, cloud, and so on and so forth, and as well as other boxes, which is, the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation. So to me, in a perfect world, they would want it there. Now, realistically, how would it work? Because obviously, Game Pass has first-party games, and then also they have some third-party games as well. So to me, they would have to have a specific curated list that I think for each platform. For example, with PlayStation, they can't have, like, for example, Outriders is in Game Pass, right?
Mhm.
I don't think it's in Sony's best interest to allow that to continue on the service if they were to allow Game Pass on their platform. So in that case, it would have to remove a lot of the third party stuff and probably be a lot of Xbox only first party things and offerings that they can have. And I can see a similar situation with Nintendo Switch. Again, this is perfect world stuff we're talking now, that everyone's saying kumbaya and everybody's like, okay, Microsoft, we are not saying right now, because right now I just think the way both the big three are set up, the way the other two are set up, they are not really ready to ingratiate Microsoft in this whole theory yet. They like the idea of Game Pass, but I don't think they're ready to have that the competitor on their platform. So that's where I'm at right now. If it was to happen, it would be a very specified, curated list that would definitely eliminate third parties and maybe just only have those Xbox first party offerings that they couldn't get on their own platform. So that's what I think initially.
That's a really great idea, because that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Is, yeah, for us, like, I want Game Pass on Switch. That would be amazing. It would be too perfect. It would be so good. We have the Steam Deck coming out, and we've seen Phil Spencer talk about, Halo Master Chief Collection running on that and how amazing it's been, and Age of Empires, and how he's been running that just through the browser on the Steam Deck. And seeing that is amazing. Steam Deck's going to be hard to get for a while. It's already booked out for several quarters after the launch if you're trying to get one. So I've been thinking about how these companies could, jump on board with Game Pass. PlayStation is going to be the biggest holdout, I think, because the brutal question is, what is the incentive for PlayStation to bring Game Pass to its service? Right out on paper, there's no incentive, because they're not making any money off these transactions. They would basically be doing it to offer a service out of the kindness of their heart to their customers. And we know that hasn't been their MO. There has to be some financial incentive for PlayStation to do this. And
We
Xbox...
learned that about crossplay. Not to interrupt you, but we did learn that about crossplay. Continue.
Crossplay? Let's go. Pay up. You want crossplay? All right, let's make it worth my while. We're the big dog. We're swinging our weight around. We don't have to do this. We're not going to do this. So I'm sure that is their stance on bringing Game Pass to their platform. Nintendo, they are struggling right now to keep people subscribed to their online subscription. And they've been struggling to come up with ways to incentivize people to sign up for Nintendo Online and utilize that. A way I could see, Nintendo benefiting from Xbox Game Pass is tying in Game Pass to a Nintendo Online subscription. So if you want to use Xbox Game Pass on the Nintendo Switch, you have to be signed up for Nintendo Online. So that would be one way that, Xbox and Nintendo, I think, could potentially collaborate and have a sort of win-win, and at least on paper get Nintendo's online numbers boosted up a little bit.
No, I agree. I mean, the thing is, not to get too magical with Phil's shelf, but he did have that switch up there. So one would imagine maybe there is maybe some initial talks and stuff like that. If out of the other two, that would be the one that I think would be more closest to being realistically happening than, like you said, Sony. There has to be a benefit for Sony to get up. And right now, there's no incentive. You said it perfectly, Miles. There's really no incentive for Sony to play nice with them in their ecosystem for any reason. But with Nintendo, we've seen the relationship, right? We've seen, obviously, the Smash Brothers and Banjo-Kazooie. We've seen Ori and first-party titles go over there. So they've been nice. Bowser and Phil have been real cozy, But it is interesting, because I always felt it was interesting with that shelf. Every week we tune in to Phil and we say, hey, what's going on with that shelf? Obviously, we saw the Kojima situation now maybe taking fruit, right? There's one last thing on that shelf that we didn't definitively get an answer for, and that's that Nintendo Switch. So I'm very curious if in the future there is a long-term play with some type of relationship, whether it be Game Pass, xCloud, and the like. So
I will say real quick that recently Phil Spencer did address the Switch and tried to write off the Switch on the shelf, saying that that was a gift from Nintendo when the Switch launched, because they're neighbors. So he that's the reason it's on his shelf, because people addressed people calling him out like, why would it be there? Like, you can't play it on the shelf like that. And so his excuse, as some people call it right now, is that this was a gift from Nintendo and it's special to him, and that's why it's on his shelf. So, whether that's the reality or not, I don't.
So a gift from Kojima too, See, I was special. The Ludens was special too. I see you, Phil. I see what you're doing. Let the deal play out. We'll wait.
Yeah. So I got to give a quick shout out to the 130 people rocking with us right now. If you're new to the show, we stream live every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you're digging the show, hit that like button, share it out. I'm going to get to some super chats because a few of you have been killing it right out of the gate. First up, Mr. Joanna Dark, the keeper of the Xbox Chaturdays lore, says, hello to Lord Cognito and the awesome Miles Dompier. I'm ready to enjoy my Saturday afternoon talking games with two incredible individuals. Beta boys.
Yo, I know what that reference is. You're bad. You're listening to IOP. You're following King. He's disrespectful to anybody who plays betas. Yes, I am a proud beta testing boy, so he can say whatever you want. And he right now he's popping bottles because Hades is out. Whatever. We'll talk about that when we get to Hades.
Yeah. Another one from Mr. Joanna Dark, with the rumors of another exclusive From Software Souls game coming to PS5, how does Microsoft counter? Or do they have to? Lock down Lies of P or makes the Souls games themselves? Who makes it? Okay, so the situation right now, there's rumblings that From Software is either already developing or in talks with PlayStation to do another kind of Souls-like exclusive. Some people are saying that maybe this isn't a direct sequel to Bloodborne, but it's kind of in that style. So what Mr. Joanna Dark wants to know is, how does Microsoft counter? And does Microsoft need to? So first off, does Microsoft need to counter a From Software Souls-like PlayStation exclusive?
Not necessarily. As we'll get into Phil's comments on, the way they pick their games and the way they're trying to, configure their identity, so to speak. I don't think necessarily Phil is in this blow for blow thing as much as us in the community and the fanboys sometimes think we are. Like, they think it's a very reactionary business, but the reality, a lot of these things are planned way in advance. They have 2 to 3 years of roadmaps of what they're doing. So, I think they'll be fine. If the rumor is true and PlayStation does get that type of exclusive, which is awesome, which is amazing, like that genre is definitely popping. But as we've seen in the indie scene, and as we've seen with a lot of other genres and stuff we'll talk about later, that they're going with diversity. They got a lot of stuff in tuck to combat, what the other two are doing.
Are you familiar with this Lies of P, which is a dark, gritty take on the story of Pinocchio in the style of a Souls-like?
I am not familiar with the Lies of P. That is not in my wheelhouse, so you're going to have to educate me.
I would highly recommend anyone interested in Souls-like, if you haven't seen it, watch the trailer for Lies of P. It is pretty much a complete ripoff of Bloodborne, like the style, the world, the tone. The trailer is like a shot-for-shot attempt at making a From Software trailer. A lot of cryptic elements, a gravelly narrator setting up this world. But in theory, this is a Souls-like where you play as Pinocchio. And it sounds ridiculous. It's one of the most absurd concepts for a video game I've heard in a long time. And for those reasons, I am in. For those reasons, I will be there day one to see what in God's name Lies of P ends up being.
It's a unique combination. I will say that for sure. So, I mean, you have piqued my interest now, for sure.
Yes, check it out. Does Xbox need to lock it down as an exclusive? I'd say probably not. I don't know that would necessarily move the needle, but who knows? Maybe it's a sleeper hit. Maybe it's a Game of the Year contender stepping up in From Software's turf and standing toe to toe. One more super chat from Harjeet Chani. Hey, Miles and Cog. Phil mentioned that the infamous shelf behind him didn't have anything to do with what they're doing, just gifts. Do you think that's the case? Is nothing happening with Nintendo? Okay, so yeah, we did touch on this a little bit. Is nothing happening with Nintendo? I don't think there is nothing happening with Nintendo. I don't think it's the Nintendo and Xbox are collaborating together to make Banjo. I don't think it's anything on that level, but I do think there's some stuff happening behind the scenes that will lead to some sort of business collaboration. Probably more boring than we want. Probably not a big mic drop moment, but I'm sure they're neighbors. I guarantee Phil and Doug are going and getting lunch and talking about, hey, what are you doing? Here's what we're doing. And any way we can kind of link up and join forces a little bit. Because, they're literally neighbors. There's no way they're not having these conversations.
Completely agree. And I think, like I said, it's probably not as sexy as gamers would want. But we know, like I said, Phil's a smooth operator. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm firmly with you that at the minimum, some type of maybe cloud infrastructure, Azure business background kind of a deal where they work together. We've seen it even work with Sony, right? They did the whole thing as far as the camera, the lenses, and for the tech and the Azure backbone. So look, that's one advantage Microsoft has that the others are definitely looking to dive into that for the future. So that's something I was thinking right off the bat that they could actually play nice with on a business deal. So
yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's probably not going to be a sexy, like, ooh, mic drop, gamers around the world rejoice. It's probably not going to be anything on that level. But, maybe one day, years from now, we finally get Xbox Game Pass on the Switch. When Game Pass explodes to the point of being that Netflix of gaming where anyone who plays video games has it, as we saw with Netflix, there's a lot of competitive device, Amazon's devices, they let you have Netflix on it. There's a bunch of TVs with Netflix on it. So yeah, like Phil said, the closed platforms will be more complicated, but if Xbox Game Pass becomes this undeniable value, undeniable service in the industry, people will jump on board. Because if it gets to the point of Netflix, there's going to be people who want Game Pass and they're going to go to where Game Pass is. So if Switch doesn't have Game Pass, then people are like, all right, I'm not going to play on Switch.
No, absolutely. And we've seen it on a smaller level. I just think of something like MLB The Show and how that whole deal came to be and MLB kind of publishing and say, hey, we want this further than just, on one platform and things like that. So look, the future's bright. They have to continue to prove it's a success. It has to continue to grow. And you said it great, Miles. Like if it grows and it gets to that level, then money talks. That's when people come to the table when they negotiate and make deals. So it's going to be exciting to chart Game Pass and their progression in this whole new field that they're entering in gaming is pretty cool.
Yeah, right now Xbox doesn't have the Game Pass muscle to flex and say, yo, you have to have Game Pass on Switch. Sorry, that's the world we live in. They're not there yet. That's the world they want to live in, where they can throw that weight around and be like, hey, you don't have to have Game Pass on Switch, but let's be real. People aren't gonna, buy into the Switch. We have 50 million subscribers. We have 100 million subscribers. You really want to miss out on that? Maybe pull in some of our audience, Nintendo?
That's when you flex.
That's right. They're waiting for the flex, that Game Pass flex.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to some more kind of mentions and conversations from the man, Phil Spencer, who was basically asked about, does Xbox need to compete, like we talked about briefly, with PlayStation directly? And more specifically, how PlayStation addresses their first-party games. And historically, PlayStation has done an incredible job delivering major, successful, huge blockbuster first-party AAA games. They are mostly third-person, single-player, narrative-focused games. So Phil Spencer's stance is that he doesn't need to copy PlayStation, and in fact, they don't want to. He is happy and proud to see all three of these companies, PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox, living in the space with their own specific strategies. So what I want to know is, do you think that is the right approach? Does Xbox need to, mirror what PlayStation is doing? Or is what Xbox is doing now with Game Pass and with their service approach the right approach?
I love that you asked this question.
Oh,
I love that I was on for this Chaturdays. I love that this topic came up because this has been a mantra. If you've been following me, this has been a mantra of mine. I've created a whole movement, and it's called #JustOne. And #JustOne has been COG's plea for just one of Xbox Game Studios to make what many would consider the Sony template, right? Which is the over-the-shoulder, cinematic, third-person narrative. But there's a caveat, because the people come from me, they say, COG, Hellblade. Yes, Hellblade's fire. Hellblade 2 is going to be, we know it's going to be fire. But what I'm talking about is the new IP, the new protagonist for the new generation. As if we, Master Chief was OG, Gears, you know what I'm saying? 360. I guess we could say Ori, Xbox One. You need kind of your own protagonist for the future where it's the mascot in a way, right? It's the face. And I feel Xbox is missing that. So when this subject came up, I was very interested. Now look, at first, if I read the quote, right, and you read it, you could get emotional as if he does not want to do that at all.
Yeah.
And I don't take it like that. I honestly think it was taken a little out of context. I read the entire article, and what he's saying, in my opinion, is you look at Sony, what they're doing, which is predominantly a lot of that genre, right? You look at Nintendo, what they're doing. They have their first party. They have everything going for them, right? Now, where I agree with him is I don't think all of the studios are going to now, he's going to change their mantra and say, all of you have to produce this style of game. Because then, to his point, they are imitating Sony, and that's not what he wants. What I love about Xbox Game Studios is the diversity, right? They have all these types of titles, the indies. You look at something like a Grounded, which I actually laughed at. I was actually upset at first when I heard the announcement. I was like, what is Obsidian doing? I was in my fanboy mode, and I was like, wait a minute. You see this success. You see something like Sea of Thieves, right? Something, again, games that I don't necessarily I personally don't gravitate towards, but I see how much interest it grabs. So they're doing a phenomenal job. I think that's what he means, that every studio is not going to have their entire focus towards that type of genre. The only pushback I will give is that out of, what are we at, 23 studios now? What are we now, 23?
23,
so out of 23, right? All I'm saying, Miles, you can give me one. You can give me one. I'm going to die on that. Phil, I love you, bro. But you can give me one. Now, I don't think and to be honest with you, all jokes, it's coming. I know it's coming. I know out of all those studios, Compulsion maybe, in other places, say there will be that new IP, third person over the shoulder. And I think I may get multiple ones in this generation. So I'm not worried about it. I think this whole quote was a little blown out of context. I think overall what he's saying, as an organization, as a unit, they're not going to forcibly go into the rooms of creativity and say, hey, we got to do, this in every studio. And I think that's ultimately what but what do you take out of it, Miles? Like, when you read the statement, what was your thought process?
We're on the same page exactly. I saw a lot of people, like you said, kind of taking this out of context, making it inflammatory, blowing up Phil's statement and saying that, Xbox doesn't care about this genre. They're not going to make anything in this space. And I don't think that's the case at all. I just don't think that Xbox has any interest in making that their primary focus, which I commend PlayStation exclusives. I really do. They are incredible games, but I don't want that for all of my first party exclusives. I really, really don't. And so for me personally, I do like the diversity, like you mentioned. I want a wide spread of weirder games and games that are in different spaces. And like you said, Grounded and Sea of Thieves and Gears of War and Halo and Forza, like they have a pretty diverse slate as it is right now, and their primary focus is expanding that. That's why we're hearing people like Matt Booty and Phil Spencer talk about how when it comes to acquisitions, they want teams that can successfully deliver new IP, because that's what they want. They want new IP, new ideas to come into the service and have people look at Game Pass and say, wow, that's a cool idea. I like this. Where can I play? I can play this on Game Pass. Awesome. So they want to pull in people that way. They don't want one genre. They don't want to dominate one genre, which, again, PlayStation obviously has been wildly successful. So I'm not trying to discredit what they've been doing. But to my tastes and my platform, preferences, the third-person single-player narrative game, I'll play a couple a year. You get a couple out of me per year, but what I play primarily is stuff that has a multiplayer element. And Xbox, I think objectively you can look at their portfolio and say Xbox has done a far better job than PlayStation when it comes to delivering compelling, long-lasting multiplayer titles. And for me, that is more important. I know people want the single-player narrative experience, and those are coming. Like you said, there's no doubt in my mind that Xbox is going to have the bangers, bro. They're going to have the banger over the shoulder, third-person walking sim, cinematic experience. It's going to come. It's going to be there, and it's going to, deliver that to the audience that wants it. But I don't want Xbox to forget about little me and what I want and why I like Xbox. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that Xbox is, going to have those games. But what I want to ask you, because you touched on this your just one mantra. Let's say you sit down with Phil, you have a conversation, and Phil lets you pick the studio that is going to make that one. The one for Lord Cognito. Who's doing it? Who's doing it?
Okay. It's tough because I got a lot of favorites, man. I got a lot of favorites. Technically, the one is already doing it, but we talked about the rule to hashtag JustOne is new IP. The one that is doing it, we know, is Ninja Theory with Hellblade 2. We know what Senua's Sacrifice going to do. We see it. We're going to get into that, right? We're going to get into that. So Ninja Theory, I'm confident. There are a couple of studios, though, some of the smaller ones, right, where I'm like, you know what y'all working on? What's going on? Compulsion. What's going on? NXI. Like, what's going on with y'all? Like, because people know them for just these, smaller things. But to me, what's more exciting about Xbox Game Studios is that them with a budget, with creative, freedom, and not having to worry about trying to keep the lights on. So I'm actually looking at those two specifically, NXI and Compulsion. I'm very curious. And the last one I'll say, just because I think, graphical fidelity and just the work, I feel like they've been holding it down for so long. Coalition, man. We got to put respect on Coalition. Damn, I forget about Playground too. Man, we got to put respect on Playground. Like, look at Forza. Look at that Forza. I had no worries about Fable. Like Forza Horizon 5. I'm just like, did you see the rocks? Did you see I was like, man, that's a beautiful picture of this Mexican mountainside with the water. And then the cars roll by. I was like, yo, Playground's outside. They're not playing. Respect. So them right there but Coalition, because to this day, I always feel they always push the systems forward, and we know Unreal Engine 5 is coming, you know what I mean? So to see that, I'm a huge Gears Tactics fan. To see what they did with the engine in Gears Tactics, I tell people to this day, Gears Tactics Cinematics is on par with a lot of games out, and that was Unreal Engine 4. So yeah, I'm excited, man. And I know the chat, I'm Team Obsidian. I know I'm Team Obsidian. I just think that they're more the Western RPG traditional bag. But I'd love to see them try their hands on it. So I cheated. I gave you a bunch. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about the hashtag JustOne. And to double down on your final point that I completely agree with you is, yes, selfishly, COG loves those single player, JustOne, third party Sony type games. But to your point, if Xbox is to succeed long term, they need that diversity of life. They need people who would never get into the ecosystem, have that one game for them that's going to make them buy an Xbox. And if you have too many of those third-party type games, then you're narrowing that off audience. So I agree with you on that, Miles, big time.
You look at Netflix. Sometimes I look at the top 10 of Netflix and see some of those movies and say, who is this for? How in God's name is this in the top 10? This looks ridiculous. This looks awful. They're in the top 10. Somebody cares. Somebody out there, millions and millions of people are buying into that and are excited about it. I always joke about the Adam Sandler movies on Netflix. Terrible, awful, abysmal movies. No one should watch them ever. They're so bad. They are constantly like some of the most watched things on Netflix. So, like you said, diversity is super important for Xbox right now, and they understand that. They want to have something for everyone, no matter who you are or what you want, and they want to do that consistently so that you keep that subscription activated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, brother. Well said.
All right, so I got to give a quick shout out to the 180 people rocking with us right now. I see Colt Eastwood in the chat. I see Captain Logan. I see Paris. I see Yodani. So many amazing people hanging out with us on this Saturday. If you guys are digging that show, like it, share it out. And we're going to transition into a big section of today's show, and one I'm super excited to talk about, and that's basically the state of indies in 2021, and more specifically, the public perception of indies in 2021. Because with all of the pandemic stuff that's been happening the last year, there's been a lot of conversations about 2021 being barren. 2021 was going to have no games. And if you look at the slate of big like AAA games, like there wasn't a ton on the table for massive AAA games in 2021, understandably. But what's been amazing for me to see is this shift in the way that, I guess a more casual audience is looking at indie titles. Again, because of services like Game Pass. We have Death's Door as a prime example, or Death's Door being a prime example of one of, in my opinion, the best games of this year by a large margin, is a 1999 independent game developed by 5 people total. Like, this game was hugely successful in the way that it delivered a compelling story, great combat, and it was a legitimate independent game. Hades just hit Xbox Game Pass, a game that won Game of the Year last year, an independent game that got a lot of notoriety because of that, coming to Xbox Game Pass and being reintroduced to this new market. So there's a huge pool of incredible indie games kind of standing loud and proud this year. And I talked about this earlier on in the year, that this would be the year that indies kind of carried 2021 because of the lack of AAA and a lot of these indie studios being more nimble. So what I want to know from you is, what are some of your indie standouts this year? And do you think long-term, because of this kind of lull in the AAA space, that we're going to see more people outside of the hardcore paying attention to independent developers?
Absolutely. I think you set it up perfectly. I mean, indies right now, and first of all, I got to salute ID at Xbox, because one thing that I realized at the start of the last generation, I would say PlayStation was really ahead of them as far as really embracing the independent scene. But to see them develop that program and then transform it, and now look at where we are now, right? The big AAA space, we get it, but this year it's been kind of slow on that front. But to your point, there are these amazing games. I mean, Death's Door, it's phenomenal. Like what can we say? And on top of it, to see the success, when you see games like that, you see Ascent, and these smaller teams making these games and then having this tremendous success by being in the Game Pass and stuff like that. Like, that's exciting to me. Hades was something I literally waited for to come to Xbox. I'm Switch gang, but I wanted my achievements. I'm an achievement guy. Like, I just want it. And to see that come, and now to see a whole market and audience that weren't familiar with the game, and maybe they're just only Xbox platform holders and they never had a Switch or what have you, and to now to see them in this service. And the last thing I want to say is that's like, the thing that I like, and I don't know if we talked about the ID at Xbox, the showcase, the Twitch gaming showcase. There were a lot in there that I saw that was very, very, very cool looking. And what I like about it was that, shout out to Sarah Baum, because what she made clear was that they're really helping independent developers, the ease of use of getting into the platform, right? And making sure that they have the tools they need, the services, the SDKs, and then the benefit of having an independent game in Game Pass, right? Sharing market space with all these other AAA, titles and stuff like that. That's huge for an independent developer. We've seen when these games go in on Steam and sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. We've seen, as far as Nintendo Switch, which I love, their store is a bit all over the place. You have to really kind of dig deep to kind of, find something, especially if you didn't see it that launch week. So it's really exciting. I like their commitment to it. They're doubling down this diversity of titles, which we talked about earlier. There's so many games right now, like literally in the independent scene, that's killing it for Xbox. And kudos to them to embracing it, because if you're going to have a service like Game Pass, you're going to need stuff that's in there every quarterly or every other month that's going to consistently drive people to the service. And I think indies are going to fit the bill a lot for that during those periods between the big Halo Infinite, the Gears, and so on. But yeah, man, I agree. Indies are huge for Xbox right now.
Yeah, you bring up an excellent point. We're seeing a bunch of great indies like Hades launching straight into Xbox Game Pass. So, there was the rhetoric and the conversations when Game Pass was first popping up that, Game Pass is just filler games and Game Pass games are the 60 meta games and all that kind of fanboy stuff that gets thrown around. But Xbox knows how important it is to have noteworthy games entering the service consistently. And indies are going to be an amazing way to kind of fill in the gaps between their big first party exclusives. ID at Xbox, I've talked to a lot of independent developers. I've done a lot of kind of formal interviews. I'll plug one I did recently for the big con. I always ask what their experience is working with Xbox and what their experience is working with Game Pass. The big con is not launching an Xbox Game Pass, but I did ask why? Why would you partner specifically with Xbox for your game as an Xbox exclusive? And got an amazing response from Dave Proctor, who's the game director, talking about how Xbox believed in the game. He talked about pitching the game and what that process was like, and having the team and the reps at ID at Xbox champion this game, stand behind this game, and really support their idea. And so he talked about how like he felt that this team was genuinely invested in his project, and because of that, he wanted to support them, and he was willing to make this an exclusive. And not only that, but because of this support, he wanted to make sure that the game that they release is the best possible game that they can put out because of Xbox's support. And hearing those stories from independent developers is huge for me, because it's one thing on the surface to say you support indies, and it's one thing to put together an indie showcase and highlight a few games in a sizzle reel trailer and that's it. But it's another thing to hear developers share those intimate stories of how specifically Xbox, and he named individuals. He was giving me names of the reps at ID at Xbox who supported him and supported this project and stuff like that. That means a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to everyone. So yeah, hearing that consistently time and time again just really makes me happy and proud to see more and more people buy into what ID at Xbox is doing.
I'm with you, brother. Just to double down on what you're saying, because what you just said really resonates with me. We were fortunate to have developer from Two Ton Studios, Steven Danton, and it's basically a husband and wife duo, and they made this game unto the end. And I remember seeing that game initially and was like, wow, this looks really cool. And kind of like another world, very atmospheric storytelling, also great combat. And, hearing the story, because I charted this game and it disappeared, Miles. I didn't know where it went, right? After about two years ago. And I mean, actually longer than that, but it disappeared. And then I found the developer and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, hey, we're coming back out. The project's still going. And guess what? We got a story to tell you later. And he said, I got a surprise. And E3, I believe 2018 or wherever it was that came around, and I saw the game in the Xbox ID at Xbox showcase in the sizzle reel. And I'm like, bro, you made it to Game Pass. Like, how amazing is that story? And to hear that, like you said, Microsoft believing in the project, right? And getting it on the platform and helping independent developers get across the finish line, right? That's a big deal. Sometimes having that security to get your project out, and like you said, believing in the project, that's a huge deal. And they're doing a phenomenal job, man. So yeah, that's another one of those success stories. You kind of pump your fist, you're excited, and you're seeing them say, hey, if it wasn't for Game Pass or if it wasn't for Xbox involvement, this project might not have happened. So it was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, Game Pass again is another interesting talking point for independent developers, because what's most important for a lot of these people, obviously they want to make money, and obviously they don't want to be homeless, so financially they want to be secure, but what a lot of them really want is just more people to play their games and experience their games. And Game Pass for certain titles offers this cool program where not only is their game getting a ton of exposure through the service, but they are literally being paid to have this game put into the service. So that's amazing, because the things that I hate hearing about the most are when independent developers have to make specific titles or do specific things because they are afraid that if they don't, that they will go under, or they'll have to lay people off. And I was talking to again, another kind of like small team that's doing Moonglow Bay, and they were talking about how for them, that's the most exciting thing about Game Pass. They touched on, yes, we did get money up front, so that was cool as well. But they specifically mentioned that, one of the coolest things is that our game realistically now is going to be played by more people than it ever would have otherwise.
Exactly. And we want these studios to win. We want these studios to win. And you said it well. The great thing about independent developers is you get a lot of that creativity that sometimes you don't see, and originality that you don't see in the AAA space, right? You're seeing it from these independent developers. And when they have security, you'll get some of the best ideas. And then sometimes AAA market starts to copy them.
Oh, that's a lot of innovative new ideas, come from the indie space. We saw Returnal, which was a AAA roguelite, which is a genre that has been kind of dominated and owned by independent developers for a long time, and then that's starting to bleed over into the AAA scene. Back 4 Blood, borrowing a lot of elements of roguelites and introducing that in a AAA game. So yeah, independent creation is important for taking those risks, having those new ideas, and just experimenting with concepts that I'll say most AAA developers are quite frankly scared to do, because there's a lot of money that goes into a big game and it has to hit. Otherwise, again, studios are getting shut down. People are losing their jobs. So they unfortunately can't take a lot of creative risks sometimes.
Very real, sir. Very real.
So shout out to the over 200 people rocking with us. Appreciate y'all. Again, if you're new to the show, we're live every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you're digging the show, having fun, hit that like button, share it out. I'm going to get to a super chat from Yodani, who says the framing is odd. No one ever seems to ask PlayStation why they have no successful first-person shooters that are first-party titles. Xbox is the underdog for sure, but also leads in some areas. Yeah. So why do you think, despite the areas that Xbox is leading in, which I would say first-person shooters, obviously, services, I would say Xbox is leading in as well. Why do you think it is the public perception sees Xbox as the underdog?
We got to be real. I mean, last generation, Sony just had a phenomenal, generation. PlayStation 4 was they killed it. They had a lot of great first-party support. They had a lot of great indies. They did a lot of the right things, and during that period, I feel Microsoft learned that it's not good to not control your own IPs and things of that nature. So you saw the studio investment, right? Because it has to start. It's almost like sports. Like you have to develop the farm system in-house, right? You got to get those, draft picks of your own to then blossom and flourish. So I think that's really where this is coming from. In fairness, Microsoft does have a lot to prove, this generation. And they're starting off so well by addressing all the things that were perceived weaknesses or Achilles heels the last generation. First party titles, diversity in games, that the services, let's be real, they are extremely consumer friendly right now. So when you're the underdog coming into the new generation, you gotta, hug people, kiss baby. Hey, don't forget about us. We still out here. And I tell people, like we've said it before, like Game Pass is one of the best deals in gaming. Don't listen to the vocal minority in Twitter because there are people who don't, especially during the pandemic, that, are going through it and they were like, hey, Cog, I know you do the gaming thing and, I'm interested in getting into an ecosystem. And I would tell people like, look, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can literally get yourself an Xbox console and Game Pass and have this plethora of games and you're kind of set. See, that to me represents a lot of what quote unquote casual, and that's the majority of gamers, right? People are going to look towards the great deal, what value they're getting. They're not listening to all these people on Twitter sometimes, and that's the reality. And I think Xbox is starting off this generation the right way. And as far as the games are concerned, that's going to come. They just got to continue to do what they're doing. And I think that narrative to your initial question will change, right? Because once the games start coming and then they're critically acclaimed and you have this plethora of games that come out, whether it be quarterly or whatever, then things start to look different. Then people start to say, hey, Sony, why aren't you doing? Hey, Nintendo, why aren't you? That's how it changes. So just keep doing what you got to do, make the games, and it'll be fine for them. But they're off to a great start, in my opinion.
Yeah, you bring up some excellent points because the reality is public perception on the broadest sense is what drives most of these narratives. So people like us kind of invested in gaming and understand the platforms and the nuances and how all of these platforms differ. We can look at Xbox and we can understand how they're succeeding and how long-term this is going to be incredible. But Xbox needs to message that to as many people as possible to correct that, because the reality is the Xbox One lost them a ton of goodwill from the public sense. The Xbox One was a meme that just got blasted into oblivion. So no matter who you are, if you played games, you knew that the Xbox One was bad, or you knew that whatever something about the Xbox platform was bad. And that is a really terrible place to be for a platform. And they had to battle that for years and years and years, because the public perception was that they could look at PlayStation specifically, if we're comparing these two, and say PlayStation's better. And they could look at that and say their games are better, this console is better, and they could definitively say, in their own mind that PlayStation is better. And when a broad audience can say that, that carries weight and that carries momentum. So you have more and more people saying that PlayStation is better, and that just builds and builds and builds. And PlayStation just thrived in this time where the Xbox wasn't killing it with the Xbox One, and Lord knows Nintendo was not killing it with the Wii U. So the PS4 just exploded because of that. The competition wasn't there, and people are like, yeah, PlayStation is the best. And they could say that, and they didn't really have to have any hyperbole because PlayStation was legitimately killing it in a ton of ways. Now, Xbox is messaging constantly the value of Xbox Game Pass. Xbox is messaging constantly about its slate of upcoming games. I've told this story before, but I was in line at a GameStop after E3 to get a Series S because I had somebody DM me because I was looking for a Series S and say, hey, I work at GameStop. Go to GameStop tomorrow. They'll have some. So there was a line of people there, and I was just sitting there with my headphones in. And then I'm listening to people in line talk about how because of what they saw at E3, that's why they're buying an Xbox. And then we had this mom and her like 4 kids from like volleyball. She was there and she's like talking about how she's buying an Xbox because she's tired of paying for games, so she's going to sign up for Xbox Game Pass. So you're hearing these messages and these kind of marketing beats from the general consumer, and stuff like that is going to carry weight and give Xbox momentum. So it's only a matter of time before, in the broad sense, Xbox is the good guys and PlayStation are the quote unquote bad guys because of whatever X, Y, and Z. As these narratives start to pile up and as the public perception shifts, which we're seeing it shift, it's definitely shifting. We're going to see a lot of those kind of technicalities kind of dissolve, I think.
Yeah, well said, brother. I completely agree. And like I said, from the very beginning, they've done a better job of it. And it's up to them to continue the messaging because they have to let people still know about, Game Pass, the value, what you get out of it. And if they do that commercially on a wider scale with marketing and stuff like that, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Because like you said, you're starting to see a shift. You're starting to see people say, hey, you know what? Series X, Series S, man, this is great value. This is my preferred console. Hey, I like doing this here, kind of thing. And that's how you change a generation around. So they're on the right track. Completely agree.
Yeah, their marketing team killing it, which really helps because gaming should be fun, and they've done an amazing job of making gaming fun. So even people like on the outskirts in the more casual sense are seeing the memes, seeing Xbox make these dumb, goofy posts, making fun of their own console, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Xbox gets it. Xbox knows what the community's talking about, and that's fun. So I love seeing that, and I think, again, a lot of these narratives are going to start to change, and again, the broad audience, as much as we want to believe the hardcore, the most hardcore are the only demographic that matter and everything should be catered to us or nothing, that's just not the reality. And the more average player is what drives that. So and I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's a bad thing. I know, people downplay casual gamers. Why aren't you catering to the hardcore? And it's like, if more people are playing gaming, that's cool. That's only going to mean we're going to get more games and we're going to get better games, because if more and more people are buying and playing games, that means more people there's going to be more money in the space to create games. So ultimately, we should be stoked about your aunt and uncle playing Halo or whatever it is.
Facts. No, you're absolutely right. That's what drives it. And sometimes I think us as hardcore have a tendency to overvalue our own positions and how we think games should go and things like that. And I get it, but listen, these guys, these companies, they have the analytics, they have the data, they're sitting on this stuff, right? So yes, we can want what we want and we'll get it, but there is the casual gamer that will drive the market as far as dictating where they're going and what's actually popular. And that's how you're going to succeed. You got to get everybody in, not just one specific group.
Yeah, we have a super chat from Harjeet Chani here who's coming a little hot, saying, I hear how Xbox needs this or that to compete. I'm curious, why is it that PlayStation or Nintendo don't need more diversity? What's the PlayStation FPS co-op game? What's the Nintendo one? I think Xbox is more diverse. So let's have this conversation. Do you think right now, as it stands, that Xbox is more diverse than Nintendo and PlayStation with their library of games?
Definitively, yes. It's to me, it's not close. This generation, I mean, Microsoft has really, you cannot say, I mean, from first person, Western RPGs, the Bethesda stuff. You got, Obsidian. You got the indie scene, which we talked about. They've got multiplayer. They've got genres kind of locked down on every end. And I think the reason to his question, the reason why the other two are not seeing those questions, and we got to be honest, is because they've had success the past generation. So when you the leader and when you're doing, I mean, Nintendo Switch has been knocking it out the box as far as NPD. We just saw PlayStation did well, what I'm saying, as far as NPD, as far as sales as well and revenue. So that's what's happening. That's why you always, you never question the leader of the last, last generation. That's all this is. But when it comes to pure diversity, if you go title for title right now, yeah, it's Xbox is killing it, man. They really are. They're having a phenomenal generation so far as diversity and a little bit for every. And the last point I'll say that I'm very impressed with them is I've always been difficult and hard on them with Japanese titles not launching first on Xbox or even coming at all. When I see something like the Yakuza series and Like a Dragon and launching, first, and you're seeing these games that historically didn't come to the platform and now are coming, that excites me because again, you've got to get that region as well, and a group of gamers that love those type of games, right? So that's what's really going on here, and it's good to see. But yeah, to the question, absolutely, yeah, they've been killing it on diversity for sure.
It's been really refreshing to see Xbox commit to that diversity because, again, like I talk about, I understand why PlayStation succeeds, and I understand why people love that style of game that they are so famous for right now. That's not what I want. So I think Nintendo has always done a great job of having a diverse portfolio of games. Even you can listen to Phil Spencer talk about this as well. Phil Spencer loves what Nintendo does with first party. So I don't think it's very fair to say that Nintendo is not diverse. They obviously don't have like a big, I would say, noteworthy first person shooter. People point out Metroid Prime. In my opinion, Metroid Prime it's fine. It doesn't compete with a Halo by any stretch of the imagination in my eyes. But I think generally speaking, Nintendo is very diverse, and I think Phil Spencer is kind of looking at the best elements of Nintendo, of PlayStation, and saying, what are the areas that they're doing well? We want to do our own thing, but how can we cater to the people that love those platforms? Because there are people who love PlayStation. There are people who love Nintendo and say, I don't need anything else. I have a PlayStation, I'm good. I have a Nintendo, I'm good. Xbox right now is struggling to get itself in a position where they are that, where people can say, I have an Xbox and I'm good. Because for a while, that wasn't the public perception, is people, they had an Xbox and I have an Xbox and PC. I have an Xbox and PlayStation. Rarely outside of the most hardcore would you hear people say, I only have an Xbox. And so Xbox wants that. Xbox understands what PlayStation and Nintendo are doing, and that's why we're seeing this constant stream of diverse stuff coming. And the most wild thing about all of this is we haven't even seen most of what's on the horizon for Xbox Game Studios and Xbox partnerships. It's going to be, I've talked about this before, but I think, as meme worthy as it is, as the wait till next E3 thing, I think E3 of 2022 for Xbox is going to have a chance to be that E3 of dreams, where they just drop this massive slate of just banger after banger. We're going to see Fable gameplay. We're going to see a bunch of stuff. And it's after that E3, I don't know anyone that's going to look at Xbox and say, I'm good. I don't need to play any of these games. I'm good.
Miles is ready. Listen, we did hear, next year a lot of those titles, that we're wanting from Xbox Game Studio that we're asking about what happened to this. Like we are hearing a lot of things will be, cooking up and aligning that year. We already know Starfield coming, so that's one I am super pumped for. And you said it good. Like the future is bright. That's one thing you got to say. The future is bright. And to anyone who may be frustrated with the Xbox platform, and I get it, and that they say, hey, I'm waiting for my type of game or what have you. All I say is I always look at someone and I say, are they taking the necessary actions to change and right things? And from what we have seen so far with the studio acquisitions, with Game Pass, with the commitment to indies, with the commitment to diverse lineup, right? And having this consumer-friendly, high feature set, consumer-friendly console, and powerful. Let's be real. You know, shout out to you. I saw your amazing interview with Jason Ronald. FPS Boost is out here giving life to titles, man. I mean, we were fortunate to have him on ILP. I just love what they're doing. So to me, it just comes down to, are you willing to wait, you know, for this next year or whatever it is, that to see these fruits come to fruition, so to speak. So that's all this is, you know. And if you're not, hey, you got these other consoles. But for people who are in the ecosystem, they see like what you're seeing, Miles, like 2022, 2023. Like you're seeing everything line up. All the studios kind of have their ducks in a row. And like I said, it's like sports, baby. The draft picks are coming. It's coming, man. Just chill out. Got all these good games to play. You good, man. It's coming, man. It's cool to see. It's really cool to see.
It is really cool to see because, you know, I've been a huge Xbox fan and I was, you know, alive during the Xbox One generation, and it was a rough time to have the Xbox be your primary console of choice. So again, I've always had all of them. So I've always had, you know, Xbox One, PlayStation 4. I even had the Wii U, dude. I you know, I was in it. I was buying any gaming nonsense I could get my hands on. So it is really exciting that Xbox is in a great position, has great momentum, and we can look at their future and we can say Xbox is going to be, I would say Xbox is going to be the market leader within the next 2 years. Is what I'll throw on the table right now.
Oh, you throwing it down? The gauntlet has been thrown down.
Some people tell me right now that Xbox already is the market leader. I don't think that is the case, but I think if everything goes according to plan with Game Pass, if they nail all these massive releases in the way that they're planning to, that, you know, by the end, let's say the start of 2024, Xbox is going to be the big dog on campus is what that's what I'm throwing. I'm throwing it down.
Got his chest outside. Miles got his chest out. He not playing no games right now. Look, I hear you, but look, the future's bright. All I will say is this. It is, and I tell people this is going to be an extremely competitive gen. And when Xbox is good, Sony's good, Nintendo's good, you're gonna get the best of all three. But I do agree, it ain't gonna be like last generation for sure.
No,
like it ain't none of that. Like this is going to be. They are proven they're here to compete. I ain't got my chest out like Miles just yet, but I will say they are here. They're gonna be going blow for blow, and buckle up. Buckle up, man. The games are coming. It's exciting. I love this stuff, man. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go full king mode and say that PlayStation's going to go bankrupt in 2 years, but
King saying that he waiting for Microsoft to acquire He want PlayStation to be a studio working under the Xbox Game Studios banner. Like he smiles when he boots up MLB The Show. He's like, yes, this is what I want for Sony. He out of control.
His predictions for Sony are far more aggressive than mine. I think PlayStation is still going to be wildly successful, put out amazing games, and genuinely compete. I just don't think it's going to be an absolute, like you said, like a landslide like it was last generation. And I think we're seeing this shift between PlayStation losing momentum, quite frankly, at least, you know, in the core sense, and the core branches out to the more general sense. And, you know, there's a lot of bad press they're getting because of save transfers and SSD and things that the casual person doesn't want to deal with. Like if you tell the average person what they have to do to transfer their save from Avengers, like I'm good. Like me, like if I had Avengers on PS4 and I wanted to play it on PS5, I would look at that and say, "Nah, I'm good. I'm fine never playing Avengers again because I don't want to do that." So those little things add up, and those, as we saw with Xbox, it's death by 1,000 cuts. You have leading up to this launch, there's all these little things piling up that eventually, you know, crush the public perception. I don't think it's going to be nearly that bad for PlayStation. Don't get me wrong; they're not fumbling in the same way that Xbox fumbled with the launch of the Xbox One, but Xbox has some momentum, and you know, it's at a certain point it gets hard to stop that momentum.
Yeah, like I said, they're doing all the right things, and yeah, there's been some snafus we see on the Sony side. I mean, they did still 10 million now. We ain't gonna act like they out of here yet.
Oh no, God no.
But to your point, you know, after a while, when you see a little bit of these snafus start to add up, whether it be the smart delivery versus their thing, whether it be the SSD situation, whether it be comparatively in performance when let's say Digital Foundry or whoever does, comparisons and so on and so, and you start to see these systems take shape, then yeah, after a while, and then Game Pass, right? The ultimate value, so to speak. So I hear what you're saying. It's going to be interesting to monitor as the generation goes on, if that still even continues as well, because then Xbox will really start to the strategy will even start to go even further.
Yeah, you bring up Digital Foundry, and I don't really like to obsess over the one-to-one comparisons because it's just fuel for console war nonsense. But as we saw with the last generation with Xbox One and PlayStation 4, every single time a game came out, you had people just banging this drum that the Xbox version ran at a lower resolution, just constantly over and over and over and over. And, for me and some people, that whatever, you can look outside that and you can understand the nuance of it. But for other people who want the best of the best, they look at that and they say, oh, Xbox runs games better. I'm just going to get an Xbox. There is a market of people that will look at those numbers and say, this runs it better. I'm buying this because of that.
Absolutely. And to Phil's point, I mean, they've even said it, since the Scorpio days, like they do not intend on losing the power narrative. And as a techie, as a person who loves tech and love the way things are implemented, I get excited when I see the tech and all these techniques, and you start machine learning and you know what I'm saying, DLSS, you hear all this stuff and you see the future is bright on a tech level. And I love the fact that they even waited, when you start talking about full RDNA 2 and suites and things of that nature. To me, that gives the console a long tail at the end of the generation as developers really start to get to the metal and tap in, and as an Xbox owner, I always says that, like, I think that's another reason why I like Xbox is that if you're a technology fan, like they tend to push things forward, even since the OG Xbox with, Ethernet in the console, a hard drive in the console. I remember gravitating towards that Xbox Live. Now we got xCloud and, all these things, game streaming and stuff like that. Like they've always pioneered tech in the space to push gaming forward. And I don't think they get enough credit for that. So like you said, with tech and comparisons, all that stuff, there is a group of people, like you said, a group of gamers who are going to want to play on the best or where it performs the best, so to speak. If they consistently continue to do that, then yeah, they will get that market for sure.
Yeah, let's go. Flex that big, strong American muscle, dude. Xbox, the American console, better have the biggest, strongest machine on the market, or I swear to God.
Yo, Miles in his bag today. I love it. Miles is in his bag today. I love it.
I'm going to get to a couple super chats here. Hustle and Motivate says, I like this show. I like you. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you're digging it, share it out. Let's get this party popping. What else? We got Harjeet Chani again, crushing it. He says, prediction. Sony skips next E3 as well.
Not too much of a prediction. They haven't really been going.
Yeah, I was say it's not too bold. It's just they don't.
They beat their drum with that.
I don't know if it's hubris or what, but they don't care about E3. It seems like they just have no interest in being there. It's not that they don't necessarily have anything to show, because that was the narrative this time around. Is PlayStation has no games and that's why they're skipping E3. And it's like, I don't know that that's the case. I just think that they want to have more specific and measured marketing beats for their games.
I agree.
And
Control
E3
the narrative. Yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say, and E3 this year, as we saw, was a little weird for most people anyway. So yeah, maybe it's for the best that they skip this time around.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay, so here's a super chat about some conspiracy stuff and some drama that was circulating ahead of the launch of Resident Evil. So Lucius Augustus says, we finally saw Sony DMCA those Capcom leaks, so it seems like those contracts were real. Stopping game from going to Game Pass for a year is Sony's plan. Do you remember those conversations where the documents came out and people were like, yo, PlayStation is straight up telling Capcom, you cannot put this on Game Pass for a year. If we have the marketing, if we're going to pay a dime to market your game, this cannot come into Game Pass. What is your take on these these alleged leaks, which there were stories back and forth that these were fake, that these were real, but now Sony has DMCA striked the images of this contract. What's your thoughts on that?
Listen, man, I'm gonna say something not too popular.
Uh-oh.
You're damn right. You got to do what you got to do, Sony. Listen, man, Game Pass out here. Listen, we've seen the effect. Just look at MLB The Show, right? You see the effect when people find out that this $70 game, right, is now on this other platform, quote unquote, for free 99, right? When you see Outriders, right, a third party game, quote unquote, on the other platform for free, right? It devalues your third party offering that you paid marketing rights for. You better damn well have a contract that says, listen, man, you ain't putting this on the Game Pass.
I didn't pay so you could put this in Game Pass, dude.
Bro, Capcom, you ain't putting this in the Game Pass. You better do that. Otherwise, it's a wrap for you. Yeah, like, why would, listen, it's just common sense. We talked about the casual guy. Forget about the hardcore. If you go into a GameStop and be like, yo, new game X is out that you want. You could pay $70 for it right now on the PlayStation 5, or hey, Game Pass, you could walk out the store right now with this loaded up. What do you think any normal, common sense, non-fanboy person going to do? They are going to pick that option. That's it. My cousin, who's really, casual into games, and he's like, hey, I want to get, Madden or whatever. Oh yeah, Madden's it. Like, he's a sports guy. Madden's in Game Pass, NHL's in Game Pass, but all these games, 2K's in Game Pass. Like, it's a no-brainer. Sony has to combat. The way you combat is you put them fine print deals in contractually. You get marketing, you get exclusive. I even said that they would be very aggressive with, like, kind of what they did with Avengers, with, like, third party exclusive characters or whatever. They got to play dirty. Game Pass is too much of a good deal for the average consumer. So look, it's competition. I know people don't like it. I know people say, hey, that's dirty, that's low blow. Bruh, Game Pass out here. You got to do something. That's just my feeling. All fair and love of war, baby. You got to do what you got to do. Let's
be real. Like, we don't see a lot of these contracts, and I guarantee a lot of them have those kind of what we would consider ruthless terms included. Like, yo, let's look at it from PlayStation's perspective. You're in this business meeting, like, all right, we are going to market your game. We are going to pay money to produce trailers. We are going to pay money to have our PR team set up interviews. We are going to promote and advertise your game. Imagine if Capcom's like, sick, love it, let's do it. And then it comes out day one on Xbox Game Pass. So Sony has put all this time and money and resources into it to advertise a day one Game Pass launch. And all Xbox would have to do is put out a tweet that says, day one, Xbox Game Pass, Resident Evil. That shit would explode. That would blow up. And they got all this free marketing. Because marketing is important. Like, let's look at the launch of Destiny. I remember when that was so heavily advertised by PlayStation. I had friends tell me, like, yo, are you getting Destiny? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pick it up on Xbox. And they're like, I thought it was a PlayStation exclusive. And I'm like, whoa, like that's, and then I had to like look around, and yeah, there was a wide group of people who thought Destiny was a PlayStation exclusive just because of commercials they saw on TV with the PlayStation logo. So marketing is important, and PlayStation doesn't want to pay money so that it comes to Xbox Game Pass. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer because we as Xbox fans, we want everything day one in Xbox. Let's keep it coming. Let's go. We want that. I get that. I don't think it's that weird. But I do think, at a certain point, depending on some of these terms, as someone who comes from like a sales background and had to build business relationships, when you start putting those caveats in there, people start to resent that. If you say, we want to work with you, but you cannot do this. No one likes to be told that they can't do something. Like, that's just human nature. So when you start partnering with these companies and you say, all right, we're going to do this, but in exchange, because of our market weight, because of XYZ, you cannot do this. We will not let you do this. There's been the drama with the Elden Ring reveal and how that was supposed to be with Xbox. And again, I don't know 100% sure, but the things that I've heard is that was supposed to be with Xbox, and that PlayStation basically talked to Capcom or talked to Bandai and said, yo, Like, you cannot have this at Xbox E3. Otherwise, we are going to retaliate on whatever deal. They must have some deals on the horizon that they can, nix on. So again, I don't know that that's true. I'm not going to say that that's definitively true. But what I will say is, if that is true, you are going to build resentment as Sony. If you are, you look at Bandai, you look at From Software. I'm sure they had. Phil talks about going and looking at the game and talking with Miyazaki, and these people at From Software are building these relationships with Xbox. And then you have your publisher saying, you can't reveal this with Xbox because PlayStation called us, and they're going to be upset. Like, at a certain point, that will build resentment. That's just human nature. That's just how it works. So I understand PlayStation is, and quite frankly, has to do whatever they can to maintain that market leader position. And if those contracts are real, it shows that PlayStation is afraid of Xbox Game Pass.
Look, I will say this, and just to push back slightly, because everything you're saying, I do agree. I think there is a lot of truth to that resentment. But I do believe that the bag starts to get larger for certain people. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
And what I look at it, to me, if you're a third-party dev, I look at something like Square Enix, right? And we seen that they took that Outriders bag, right?
Oh,
Game Pass, day one, day and date, right? Last minute, we didn't really, right? So that, let's be honest, that can't necessarily sit well with Sony, right? So then you look at that, and then I look at something like, again, Square Enix, Final Fantasy VII Remake. We heard it was supposed to come to Xbox at some point, and then magically it feels like now it's been extended. So I think the third parties now, let's be real, they can leverage both of these guys against each other. They can leverage Microsoft. Well, if I do this, if I side with you, Sony, Microsoft got that Game Pass back over here, and then vice versa. Hey, Xbox, hey, but if I do this, Sony might give me that 1 year. This is, if you're a third party dev with these AAA blockbuster titles, right? This is a fun time for you. You can have fun, because I know Back 4 Blood devs are really feeling nice right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, about them being in Game Pass and stuff like. It's a fun time. It's competition. This is what we're gonna see in this era right now, and I think a lot of these guys will benefit. These developers, these publishers will benefit.
Yeah, you probably have a lot of big third-party publishers, walking into these meetings with a little more swagger, because they got options now. Like, what's up? All right, like you said, Xbox is offering this amount. They want us in Game Pass. What are you going to do to stop it?
What you going to do?
And they're like, fuck, God. And so PlayStation go back and, God damn it. All right, well, what can we do? And they're like, all right, we're going to give you this amount, but you're giving us 2 years of exclusivity. No more of this 1 year nonsense. We're bumping. We want 2 years, damn it. 2 years of exclusivity.
Listen, man, the price done went up, man.
Hey, that's
You coming like a mob meeting. Look, man, the price went up this week. Them boys over there, they offering this for this Game Pass. It's a mob meeting, baby.
I love you, Tony, but I hate to do this to you. But
do this to you, baby.
Yo, Papa Phil came to me with an offer here, and I can't refuse.
Can't refuse.
Oh, good Lord, having some fun.
Facts. Big facts.
Okay, let's move on to something that I need to rant about, that I want to rant about, and that is battle passes. So I fundamentally don't have a problem with the idea of a battle pass, with the free tier, with the paid tier. Fundamentally, I don't have a problem with that concept. I understand it's a way to incentivize games, keep people coming back, keeping the engagement consistent, all the boring metrics that the average person doesn't care about. I understand. I get why they're there, and for those reasons, I'm not against them. What I am so tired of seeing, and this is just killing my desire to support any battle pass, is that all progress for a lot of battle passes is tied 100% exclusively to daily and weekly challenges. I think that's especially egregious on paid tiers. If I buy into this battle pass, God damn it, let me grind, all right? If I want to grind it, don't put a cap on the amount of progress I can get in one day. So I was originally very positive about what I heard with Halo Infinite's battle pass, because they're getting rid of the time limit. So you buy this once, it lasts forever. It's unlimited.
Right.
Then what we saw in the Halo Infinite flight, and then what we saw from people from 343 essentially confirming this, at least for now, I don't know if it'll change, is that yes, all progress for Halo Infinite's Battle Pass is tied to daily and weekly challenges. So that means, even though they never expire, I'm going to have to log in every single day for 40 days if I want to finish this thing. And that is so exhausting and so annoying. So, Cog, am I alone here? Am I the only one really sick of the way these battle passes cap the amount of progress we can get?
Miles, you know I love you, right?
Lay it on me.
We gotta have a heart. We gotta have a heart to heart, brother. You know, as a Destiny fan, I feel your pain. But this is how the way the world works in looter shooters and MMOs, and this sadly, look, to the letter of the law, Miles, you are correct, right? This is what I consider fake engagement, right? This is forced engagement. You are forcing me to log in order to get these rewards. But I do understand the business side of these things, right? Because at the end of the day, they want you in this game. They want you logging into this game, right? Now, to their credit, shout out to 343. I had Patrick Rand, multiplayer designer on LP, amazing interview. I mean, he literally just said, like, this is going to be a Halo-ass Halo game. Salute to him. He had the quote of the year as far as I'm concerned, right? Now, the thing that I do like that I got to give 343 this. I know you don't like battle passes in general, but the fact that they removed the FOMO from the battle pass is a big deal. Most looter shooters, MMOs, games of this ilk don't do that. They make this fake FOMO like, hey, you want the samurai armor? If you didn't buy it and you didn't play this season, you'll never get it. So you see other people playing the game and they have that armor. You're like, oh, man. So it creates this forced thing. And what I like that 343 said is like, no, once you buy it, you get it done whenever. And, then you can get it, whatever. You don't have that FOMO feel. But to your point, I do understand your frustration. I do understand, like, damn, I got to log in every day. I got to do these challenges every day. And yeah, it's not the most creative way to handle it. Yes. I do feel that even though a lot of people are not going to agree, that is kind of the way this thing has been going with a lot of these game types and the daily challenges and things of that nature. So it's going to be up to them to prove the engagement is worth it, right? It's going to be up to them to get Miles to say, hey, you know what? I ain't doing it this week. I'm not liking what I'm seeing, right? And that's where it falls on them. And that's where what I consider you vote with your engagement. There are times in Destiny where they do this and I'm like, nope, not for that reward. I'm not doing that. And then there's other times like, oh man, I gotta log in this week. Oh man, this is gonna be crazy. You see that skin? You see that thing? So again, you as the consumer, you as the game player, you dictate engagement. If you look at the reward track and you see what's in there and you're like, nah, fam, that ain't it, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And the cool thing about that is if enough of you guys don't do it, guess what? They stop the practice and they start to change, because once the engagement numbers go down with these type of games, it's all about engagement. Once it goes down, they like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to have to back down on that. We're going to change it, give them other ways to acquire. So hopefully that's what they do. Vote with your engagement.
Yeah. I do like what Halo Infinite is doing with the Battle Pass is not expiring. Like you said, that eliminates the FOMO of like, I got 90 days and I got to grind my ass off to get to the end of this tier. There's 100 levels. It's going to take me 50 to 70 hours worth of gameplay, and I got to do that in 3 months. So I got to be on a couple hours every single day if I want that. So I like that that's gone, and I like that you can get them at their own pace. But like you said, that is the way it's been going. But Sea of Thieves and their Plunder Pass has proven that doesn't have to be the way. I think Sea of Thieves right now has hands down the best battle pass system, because not only are there specific challenges, and there are like 70 to 100 challenges per season that get you boosts within this battle pass, but every single thing you do gains you progress in this battle pass. So turning in quests, doing missions, killing enemies, like everything, every little thing you do is rewarded. And I think nobody has done it as well as Sea of Thieves so far. And I wonder, what I mean, obviously we know the logistics are that we want people logged in every day. Having people logged in every day is more important than, having X playtime in the first week, because they don't want people to come in, blast through the battle pass in a week and stop playing. But give people the option, all right? If they're paying, especially if they're paying, if you're buying into this premium tier, let them grind. You got their money. Just let them grind, or
Yeah.
or at least have in addition to the weekly, daily challenges, do like what Gears does and have like a huge page of seasonal challenges. So
Right.
outside of the daily and weekly, you still have something to work towards. You're still gaining progress, and you're still working up this battle pass. Because I'm just so tired of you can do 5 things per day, and if you do all 5, you might gain 1 level in this battle pass.
I feel you. I feel you. You know, you're making valid points. And like I said, the key is the community being unified against it. As a Destiny fan, this is what we do. We complain and say, Bungie, no, we're not doing that. And then they change. You know what I'm saying? Then you get what you want. You vote with your engagement, brother. But you're making a valid point. You know I'm with you on what you're saying. Nothing you said is incorrect.
Yeah. I get the grind. I appreciate the grind, okay? And I appreciate the business side of things, but meet us in the middle here, guys. Give us some other options. Don't make it exclusively tied to this, because I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Unite, and that's kind of been what fueled this.
What's fueling that? I get it now. I get it.
Because you like literally, if you do every single daily challenge for the battle pass, you might gain 1 level. And there's 100 levels in this thing. And then they have the weekly challenges that reset, and then you'll gain a few. You can gain like 2 or 3 levels. So if you play every single day in a week, you're gaining maybe 10 to 11 levels, and it's like, whew.
Know what your soul.
All right.
They want your soul. They want to be your. I'm telling you, these games are selfish. It's like a relationship. They don't want you seeing anybody else. They want you committed to their game, bro. That's how it is, and it's up to you to be strong and resist. But they're banking that you're not.
No, they want, like, we're gonna put this dope ass skin at the end. You want this sick Pokemon drip? Well, guess what, dude? Put in the time. Put in the work. Sorry.
They got me. When I saw it, listen, you know I'm the gaming ninja. When I saw that samurai suit, I said I'm on every day until I.
Yeah, let's be real. So will I, and that's what pisses me off. Is like they know how to get us. Yeah, I rant and rave, but as soon as I see what it takes to do it, I'll do it. And
exactly, and that's what they're banking on. That's why I said it always comes down. That's why I laugh. I'm literally guilty of the same thing. I sit there and complain, and then I see something that catch my eye, and I'm like, damn.
That looks fire,
damn, bro. Like, and that's when I saw that samurai outfit, and I saw the multiplayer trailer. I said, I know I'm grinding for this.
Call up the squad. Clear the next 3 weeks. All right, we're in this together. Brothers in arms, we're getting this goddamn samurai outfit. Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, yeah. Well, just wanted to rant about that briefly. Now, let's transition into Xbox and Gamescom, because as we know, as the people out in the streets, as the people listening to these podcasts and other podcasts right now know, it's been dry. News has been a little bit slow. There hasn't been a lot of juicy topics in the streets for Xbox specifically. But now we have conversations about Xbox having a virtual event for Gamescom, hosted once again by the legend Paris Lilly, as well as Kate Yeager, who's been another awesome figure for Xbox. Yes. So what I want to know, 2 things. I'm going to ask you 2 very important questions. First up, what do you hope to see? What do you want to see? That's question 1. Question 2, what do you actually think we're going to see?
All right. What I hope to see. I would like one, I know it's not going to happen, but I would hope one, maybe 2022 game trailer, right? One, that's the hope. Doubt it's going to happen, but that's the hope, right? What you should hope and want. What I want to see, and I think they've done this before at Gamescom. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Obsidian get announced at a Gamescom? I believe, or what? I believe,
like acquisitions, right?
Yeah. Yes. What I want to see. We've heard rumors of typhoons and all type of shout out to Jess Gordon, the amazing Jess Gordon. You know what I'm saying? We've heard all these avalanche and all these different type of things. So it's like, hey. It would be cool maybe if studio announcement happens. That would be dope. And then the last one, what I think is going to actually happen is probably because what is it, August 24th? Because it's the same day as Bungie's reveal, which is I'm a Destiny fan. They have the same. I'm loaded that day. There's a lot going on, but yeah, I'm gonna say we've got to get Halo's date. I feel we're so close. We're so close, and it's like, the posturing, whether it be waiting on Call of Duty's date, at some point, late August, basically September, the game's supposed to come out fall. Phil has already been on record saying they already have the window as far as the weeks that they plan on launching it. So I feel, hey, put out, maybe say, hey, a new flight is available. You maybe give one little wrinkle of Halo Infinite information, whether it be multiplayer or single player, and then you throw that date on and you go, hey, this is when it's dropping. Boom. Get everybody excited. Pre-orders. Do everything you got to do. That's those are my three. What are your three? The wants, hopes, things gonna happen.
So what I want to see is I want to see a couple of gameplay trailers for stuff we already know about.
Yes.
I think, or I'll just say I want Avowed. I want an Avowed gameplay trailer, and I'll add on that by saying that I heard there was a possibility that Avowed could have had a gameplay trailer for E3, but they shifted to have the Outer Worlds 2 reveal instead. So if that is the reality, I think there is a legit possibility we see a trailer for Avowed, a gameplay trailer for Avowed at Gamescom.
You sound like my co-host Maddie. Defining Duke literally said that just like you. You guys know something. Maddie said the same thing this week on Defining Duke.
I will say I don't know anything. And this isn't me like, I don't know, but really I do know. But I really don't know. But I think with what I've heard and the reality of what's going on behind the scenes, I think we could see an Avowed trailer. What I also want is the Halo Infinite suite. So not only do I want the Halo Infinite date, but I want them to blast us with all the dope, dumbass accessories that we're going to be able to buy alongside that release. Give me a controller. Give me something ridiculous. Give me some swag. Load me up with all the dumb Halo merchandise that I'm going to be able to just waste money on this holiday. All right? 343, lay it on me. Because the reality is, and I've been on the record about this, I think Call of Duty is the biggest factor when it comes to the release date of Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite was not releasing in October because of Battlefield. Xbox has a marketing partnership with Battlefield. They want some breathing room between those, but we still don't know when Call of Duty's launching. But as some of you have probably seen, Call of Duty stuff has been leaking like mad. They've officially addressed it on their own Twitter handles. So let's say we do get the Call of Duty release date next week. Let's say Call of Duty is revealed and we get the release date next week. If that is the case, I don't think there's a world where we don't get the Halo Infinite release date. And maybe they already know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. But yes, Halo Infinite release date, please. Please. Like, even the fact that we don't know the Call of Duty release date. Well, we know Call of Duty is launching in November. Like, there's no way Call of Duty is not launching in November. And I feel like Halo's the same way, but it's like you said, it's going to be a matter of a few weeks as to where Call of Duty lines up. I hope and I pray that we get that big anniversary drop. We get Halo Infinite on the week of Halo's anniversary. Some people, Paris Lily's very vocal about the 15th, the anniversary. It launches on the anniversary. Bro. That would be so good.
Let me tell you something real quick. Shout out to Paris, right? If that happens, it's extra special for me because I'm gonna give you a little quick story why I actually love Xbox as well. Is that Xbox debuted the OG November 15th, New York City. Bill Gates was there. The Rock was there. Yeah. I was there to get that console, right? During this whole festive, thing. November 15th is also my birthday.
Oh,
so
damn.
It's like I was destined to be an Xbox fan on some level because I'm like, the system launch. If that drops the anniversary I'm going to go crazy, bro. Like, I'm going to go crazy. That would be magical. And it would have historical significance, right? If they did that. Hey, I'm all for it. If it happens, I'm all for it. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think you said it best. Like, the rumors are obviously the leaks are all over the place for Call of Duty. The rumors are, hope, that they're supposed to next week maybe, announce this thing, whether it be in conjunction with Sony that has the marketing rights or what have you, right? Once that shoe drops, then I'm with you. Is no way Halo doesn't drop that date because they gotta play nice. It's Call of Duty still on the platform. They still gotta play nice, and at the end of the day, give it enough distance because you want Halo to breathe as well. So I think you're on fire with that. I could totally see that scenario happening if Call of Duty releases that release date next week.
Well, for the sake of your birthday, Halo Infinite better drop on the 15th then.
It would be nice, man. Hey Phil, do what you gotta do, man.
Do
Make it happen.
what I've thrown into the universe to see if it happens is that I think that Friday, I think the 19th will be the official release date for Halo Infinite, but they will have some sort of Ultimate Edition or some sort of way to access Halo Infinite and play Halo Infinite for select people on the 15th, because as cool as the 15th would be, it's a Monday. It's a really weird day to release a huge multiplayer shooter, which has historically dropped. You want that on a Friday. You want that on a Friday. People plan their entire weekends around that.
Shout out to Dog Travesty in chat. I was literally about to say what I was about to say, which is like, what if they tie some type of early access into Game Pass Ultimate subscribers? Hey, you a subscriber? You want to play Halo a week early on the 15th or whatever? Boom. You know what I'm saying?
Boom.
That's how you do it. Then you get, because we thirst. We ain't waiting.
No, God, no.
It's out. All I got to do is subscribe to this. Then you get that nice influx of subscribers to Game Pass. Hey, that'd be kind of nice, man. That'd be kind of nice.
Let me throw a little wrinkle in there, because we've had people talk about how does Halo Infinite incentivize people to sign up for Game Pass if it's free to play? Yeah. Well, how about some early access on the anniversary of Halo Infinite? How's that for an incentive to sign up for Xbox Game Pass?
Yes, big time. They're sitting on marketing gems to just utilize to get the hype train going. Listen, it's all lined up for them. And let's be real, with what's going on with Call of Duty, what's going on with Activision. Like, Halo's in prime position to really succeed. We had this positive technical flight. Everybody's saying, yo, Halo multiplayer core is back. It's exciting. With me, shout out to my buddy Randall Thor. We played hours, together. Just we couldn't stop. I was sad when the flight was off. I'm like, man, I can't play. You know what I'm saying? Those bots was gonna get that work, and we got a little bit of the actual multiplayer for when they opened it up for that hour or two on a Sunday. But hey, if you do that, maybe you also on Gamescom you reveal big team battle. You show another mode or something. You get the hype train going, and then November they could really knock it out the park with the marketing and the Game Pass subscribing. And yeah, I'm with you. I could see people don't realize when Halo drops, regardless to how you feel, it shakes the world, bro. It moves things. The needle gets moved when Halo drops. And if it's a good Halo on top of that, get ready.
People try to write off Halo, but really there's not a kind of hype that is Halo hype. Halo hype is its own beast. It's this own kind of movement. Like, when a Halo comes out, there are people who drop everything they're doing and they play it. And, there's been some kind of okay Halos. There's been some problems with Halo over the last few years. But if Halo Infinite comes out and people are like, damn, this is, not only everything I remember and love about Halo, but it feels and plays better than it ever has, you can bet your ass that people are going to be all about that, and it's going to have a huge tail. So I'm ready, dude. Let's go.
Bro, I'm ready. I'm so ready. It's not. Listen, when I played that flight, it just brought it back to me, man. Why I fell in love with the franchise in general. So yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's. Okay. So what I think is going to happen when it comes to November and the release of Halo Infinite, I think Gamescom will be cool. I think there will be some cool stuff shown at Gamescom. I think Xbox is specifically waiting to drop huge mega announcements for the Game Awards, which is going to be hosted at Microsoft Theater. So the momentum shift for Xbox this year is going to be, we're dropping Halo Infinite, and they seem confident that Halo Infinite is going to land and be a showcase for Xbox Game Studios. So let's say hypothetically Halo Infinite launches and people are saying it's the best Halo ever made. I don't know if that's the reality. Let's say that happens. Halo Infinite comes out, people love it. A few weeks later at the Game Awards, they drop the gameplay trailer for Hellblade 2. they drop the gameplay trailer for Perfect Dark. They start showing you, like, you thought Halo Infinite was dope? Well, guess what? This is on the horizon. This is on the horizon. Oh, you know that Kojima thing that's been rumored for a while? Here's what that Kojima thing looks like. Let's bring Kojima on stage with Phil Spencer and talk about the amazing things that only can happen. And Jeff, yes, Jeff is there, just giddy, and just ooh.
That's the whole movement right there. Phil playing chess. He trying to get the Game Awards. You got to get Kojima, and you get Jeff through proxy. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah, let think about that. Think about the energy and momentum behind that. Xbox dropping its biggest game of the year, and then a few weeks later, showing you just game after game that is coming to Xbox. That's going to move the needle for the holidays. You're going to have people talking about Xbox and be like, damn, maybe I do need an Xbox right now. Maybe I need to sign up for Game Pass. Damn. And I think that's going to be what the end of this year is going to look like.
Miles, you get me hyped, bro. Like,
and
know what's funny is I'm not going to say that you're jumping out the window and you got your chest out too much, because I do agree with you. I do think that is a perfect marketing rollout. You got a great end of the year. We got Forza Horizon. You got, Halo Infinite. But you said it well, because Gamescom, I think, is going to be stuff that's this year, for the most part. And then you lock in your dates and stuff that we forgot about, games we forgot about, third parties. You got things like Score and games that we're like, hey, what happened to this at the third party showcase?
Yeah.
We'll get all the stuff that we know is 2021. But I'm with you. I think Game Awards, they have already proven that, shout out to the intern who suggested to do it at Games Award, to Phil, to do the Xbox Series X reveal, as well as the Hellblade 2 reveal. We saw how the ground shook. We saw how the needle moved, right? So now you do this again, and we already heard the rumors, letter of intent with Kojima, right? We heard you could really set things up. Then you throw another highly anticipated game, one of the Xbox Game Studios that's going to come to 2022 that people have been wanting to see, whether it be the Hellblade or whatever, right? You get the hype train going again, and you end the year. And let's be honest, competitively, I mean, with Sony, we heard the rumors of Horizon Forbidden West, supposedly not coming this year. So let's just say that, and they had a great year, but let's say their end of the year software outside of Deathloop, we're not hearing any major, and let's be honest, a lot of Xbox fans will be like, hey, that's going to come to Xbox anyway, kind of thing. So it's setting up for Microsoft to have a very strong end of the year game releases and shows and marketing hype into 2022. They just got to land the plane and execute it right. And I'm with you. I think the Game Awards will be a huge factor in that.
I think if the reveal of the Xbox Series X and Hellblade 2 at the Game Awards, if any indication of how they value the Game Awards as a platform that a wide audience of people, again, not just hardcore, are looking at and paying attention to, I think that sets a pretty good precedence of the things we can kind of expect from the Game Awards this year.
Shout out to Paris. He got the eyeball saying he may be there too. Ooh.
Oh,
Paris about to drop that exclusive, bro. You about to drop that exclusive, Paris? Mr. Lilly, are you implying?
You love to see it. Are you? All right. Well, Paris, then if Phantom Dust is being revealed, I better get a goddamn phone call. That's all I'll say. All right, I got to give a shout out to the 260 people rocking with us. You all have been amazing. If you're digging the show, hit the like button, share it out. I'm going to get to some super chats. Harjeet Chani says, do you know what Moon Studios is working on? Will it be Xbox exclusive?
Ooh, good question. I do not. What do you think? I'll leave that to you.
Have you heard about Moon Studios' new project?
I have not.
Okay, so nobody really knows what it is. I don't know what it is, but I believe they have confirmed that it will not be an Xbox exclusive. From my understanding is that when this project was revealed initially that they were working on a new game, that it would be a multi-platform. So I'm not expecting it to be an Xbox exclusive as much as I love Moon Studios, but maybe we'll get that day one Xbox Game Pass. Let's go.
Hey, Game Pass is always nice, man. Free 99 is undefeated as far as I'm concerned. It's not free, but it feels it.
It feels, yeah. Yo, Donnie coming in with a mega super chat. Contributing to Miles and Cog's Samurai Outfit Fund or the Steam Deck Fund. Are y'all interested in that? What do you think of the name? Are you interested in the Steam Deck? Did you pre-order one?
100%. The biggest, the best one. Whatever's the one with the biggest envy of me, that's the one I'm pre-ordered. I'm ready. I'm mad. I'm not in the, what is it? First batch. I think I'm like second batch.
Oh, is it Q1 for the first
Yeah.
batch?
Yeah, I think
Or
Q1 is first. I'm Q2.
oh,
I was hitting refresh. They played me, man. I tried everything, but look, I'm gonna get it. Phil put the tweet out. You saw Phil put the tweet out,
oh
and
yeah, I did.
he's
Oh yeah,
enjoying
I
it.
did.
Look, I'm excited. Not only for I'm excited for it as a potential Xbox Game Pass native device. If I could somehow get finagle Windows 11 on that bad boy. OS wise, because I don't get no disrespect to xCloud, I love xCloud, but again, there's something appealing about a native portable Xbox device, right? Like playing those games locally, right? And then having my achievements and all that synchronized. That's the portable Xbox, dream I've always wanted. So I'm gonna live through the Steam Deck to achieve that. So we'll see. But shout out to him. I feel that shout out, what is it, Proton OS or whatever it is they're using, which is Linux based with Steam. You never know. Xbox might end up playing nice with Game Pass and that OS. Look, Phil, I see what you're doing, man. Subtleties with the tweets, man. A man playing chess out here.
Yeah, that was a very specific tweet, I feel like, with the timing of that release and with the company's focus on Xbox Game Pass. In regards to the name, I think Steam Deck is a weird choice. I think for the average person outside of the space, like, it doesn't convey what it is at all.
Right.
I mean, they should just rename it the X-Boy, I think. That's the play.
Hey, Microsoft, they've done all the R&D and the work. All you got to do is help them market it with your services and your games. And there you go.
Super chat from Flame, who says, hello, Miles and Cog, just dropping by and dropping a $5 for support. Appreciate that. Also, Cog, Kentucky Fried Osiris?
Yeah, see, that's an inside joke. Shout out to Flame, lordsofgaming.net in the building. He's so funny. It's a Destiny, what's going on in Destiny narrative. He knows I'm a big Osiris fanboy, and something was revealed this week, so he's clowning me and calling him chick. But shout out to Flame. You're in trouble. You're in trouble in the next writers' meeting, sir.
Super chat from Brett Bingham, who says Ubisoft filed to register shares of stock to sell 4 days ago, and Square Enix filed that they sold some stock yesterday, over 100 million. Your thoughts? Cog, are you seeing companies selling shares? Is that doing anything for you? Is that sending any signals your way?
Not yet. I mean, I get it. Acquisition season is here. Everyone, Microsoft's buying everybody. Microsoft, I get it. I'm not there yet, but I will say this. 10 cents outside. A lot of people are outside looking, kind of thing. So I'm just monitoring, but I'm not gonna get crazy yet. But what about you? When you see these type of things, does the needle move for you in one direction or another as far as what could happen?
Again, the thing that obviously people are trying to get me to tell them is that this means they're getting acquired, bro. They're selling shares because Xbox is coming in. They're trimming the fat. Xbox is scooping them up, buying Ubisoft, buying Square, buying Capcom. Who else? Who else am I missing here? Warner Brothers. The gang's all here. Xbox has them all. Xbox has the games. In fact, Xbox literally has all the games now. Sorry, PlayStation, you can't have games because we bought everyone. That's
the Bethesda high. That's what I'm calling it right now. The ZeniMax high. I get it.
That's what people want me to say. I think probably boringly, it probably doesn't mean much of anything in terms of acquisition. That kind of stuff happens behind the scenes all the time. It's just something that, sometimes people pay attention to and they catch it and they go, oh. Because in some cases, yeah, it could mean they're selling off shares because they are looking to reduce the value to sell to someone. There's been rumors and rumblings of Xbox buying Square Enix for quite some time. I don't know the origins. I don't have any sort of validation that tells me that is a legitimate thing, but it's one of those things that I have people DMing me about and people talking to me about behind the scenes, like, have you heard anything on this? And I'll just say when it comes to Square Enix, I haven't seen anything that tells me that is going to happen, but that is a big rumor and there's a lot of conversations about it. Ubisoft, I'm still on board that I think Uplay eventually could get bundled into Xbox Game Pass. I think that's the play. I think the reality is Xbox has no interest in acquiring Ubisoft. because of the size of the company and all the complications that would go into correcting their business and some of the negative PR that they've had, and the sheer fact that there are just thousands and thousands and thousands of employees that they would have to kind of work into their ecosystem. So you play in Game Pass is the better play. I don't think Xbox is acquiring Ubisoft.
I agree. And I even think if any deal or relationship would happen between the two, that it would be more along the lines of how EA and Microsoft are playing nice with EA Play. Like you said, EA Play was kind of built into Game Pass Ultimate. And I could see something like that with Uplay, that kind of a deal. But I don't see a full-size acquisition. I agree with you on that.
Jason Johnson comes in with a super chat and asks an interesting question, and it's a question I always love talking about. Says, hey guys, what series would you want to see revived? For me, it's Rise, and just turned it into the Revenant for different historical periods. Okay, so he wants to see Rise come back and be kind of like an Assassin's Creed, if you will, where it just looks at different periods throughout time. Cog's busting out the... okay, so are you on board? You support this?
Team Rise, marry you, stand up. This is day one. I was there at the launch, baby. This is my guy. I've been preaching this. This is the Jason. I'm waiting. FPS team. I'm waiting. This was the guy. Like when I said he was my hashtag JustOne in the old generation, right? This is what we need. Rise, stand up, baby. Let's go.
Cog's feeling it. All right, Jason. Cog's 100% on board with you. 100% on board with Rise. For me, anyone who follows me on Twitter, anyone who listens to this show consistently, probably is so tired of hearing me say it, but where's Phantom Dust? Phil Spencer. Phil William Spencer, if that is your middle name. Where is Phantom Dust? You brought this game into my life. You reintroduced it to me. I fell in love with the remastered version, grinded it, and I was like, yo, this works too perfectly. The systems, the mechanics of Phantom Dust were way ahead of its time, and bringing this back as an arena-based deck-building game in the year of our Lord 2022 would be incredible. Too perfect. So I'll always say it. Phantom Dust needs to come back. It's not Phantom Dust should come back. It's if Xbox wants to survive as a platform, Phantom Dust needs to come back.
Needs to come back. We got to give him his Phantom Dust, man. We got to give it to him.
So that's how passionately I feel about Phantom Dust. Half this chat, maybe more, is like, yo, what's Phantom Dust? Like, what?
Listen,
seriously, what is Phantom Dust?
Isn't it Phil's like one of his favorite games too, from my understanding?
Phil loves Phantom Dust, and
yeah.
I think Phil was the champion behind the scenes trying to make it happen. So now that they have a huge stable of first-party studios, come on, you're telling me no one there, none of those teams wants to do Phantom Dust? I mean, that's probably very likely, but still, let's do it. Phantom Dust and Rise. Let's will it into existence, because that's what we have to do in this day and age. Rise, Phantom Dust, let's say 2022 and 2023 respectively.
I'm with it, man. Let's go.
Love it. All right, so we're getting towards the tail end. I do want to pick your brain about Quakecon real quick, because that's another kind of bigger piece of Xbox news. This might upset people, but I'm going to speak my truth. I don't care about Quake even a little bit. I really don't. Like, I don't have a problem with Quake. Like, I know people love it, and if that makes them happy, I want it to come back. But people have been pinging me like, "Oh, what do you expect to see at Quakecon?" I was like, I don't know, but also I don't care. So, do you care about Quake, and do you have any expectations or hopes from Quakecon?
We actually should. I'm not a big Quake guy. I'm just not. I mean, I'm no disrespect.
Yeah, no disrespect.
Yeah, I know it's a huge staple. I know people love it. We did hear rumors, though, right? We did hear rumors of a revitalized Quake. Mm-hmm. So look, shout out to the Quake dudes, you know, the Quake lords, you know. So salute to y'all. If y'all might get your dream, you know. Hopefully, you know, we got all the bells and whistles and high fidelity and, you know, all the features that people want to see. You know, I'm one of those people, like, even if I don't care for something, I get excited for people who are fans of the genre. And I know, regardless of how I feel, again, we talked about, remember, game diversity and all this other stuff. Regardless of how I feel, there is a huge audience that is going to go crazy for this. So salute to them. I'm looking forward to just seeing what's announced and how it looks, you know, if it's to be true.
And let's be real, like arena shooters are on the rise right now. Halo's going back to its arena roots. Splitgate is exploding for being a throwback to Halo. Valorant, all these big first-person shooters are arena-based shooters, and Quake was kind of the pioneer of that genre, arguably. And people kind of look to Quake as the arena shooter. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, again, even though it's not my jam, I want it to come back. Same with Banjo-Kazooie. I'm not the biggest Banjo fan, but Banjo also needs to come back.
Exactly.
So
And I love what you just said. Not to cut you, but you said it perfectly. Even though you're not the biggest fan, you understand the importance. You want to come back for that audience because you want different gamers. All different gamers enjoying the platform makes the platform better. So beautifully said.
yeah, again, it's Xbox wants that diversity. They want something for everyone. And there's always the conversations online of like, oh, Xbox put this in Game Pass. I don't care about this. But they don't want you to play every game in Game Pass. We're already at the point where you literally can't. Like, even if I wanted to play everything in Game Pass, everything that comes there day one, I cannot. And Xbox is fine with that. We just need to be fine with that. Some titles are going to come in there that they're not for us, and that's okay. That's totally okay.
Reach.
So as we wrap up the show here, Cog, one more time for all the amazing people tuning in, hanging out, sharing in the laughs. Where can they find you? Where can they champion Rise? Where can they send you their pro Rise takes?
Salute, man. Yo, first of all, Miles, it's been an absolute pleasure, Xbox Chaturdays, to be here. I was excited to get the call. We've been talking behind the scenes, so it's cool. But yeah, man, you can find me on Twitter at Lord Cognito on Twitter. You can find me on the Iron Lord podcast every Sunday's the Lord's Day, 1 p.m. Eastern. Check us out on the Iron Lord podcast YouTube, where I deal with my crazy brethren of Lord King, Lord Addict, and Lord Soft, just being spicy and like good friends do, just talk games. So check us there. Also check me on Last Stand Media with my amazing co-host, Maddie, Lord Maddie Plays, my guy, the Dukes. I'm a Duke now.
That's
So
right.
I gotta support the Duke, and that's Defining Duke. We always catch up. Those all go up on the Patreon, usually on Wednesdays. But for those who are just YouTube subscribers, go to Last Stand Media. You can check us out there, and that'll be up this Sunday. We had the man with the million. He was on Randall Thor.
Randall
He was
Thor?
on- Yes, the man with the million was on, so check that out. And I forgot what Iron Law podcast. Check us out tomorrow. We'll have a big guest, I believe, Jake Baldino from Game Ranks. He'll be on.
Nice.
That'll be awesome. You know what I'm saying? So check us out. And of course, if you want your looter shooter fixed, want your Destiny fixed, check me out on the Last Word podcast. You can check us on Ebontis' channel, or you can check it on Iron Law podcast channel. Again, that's with my co-host Ebontis and our newest addition from IGN, Ty Guy Travis. So salute. He's again huge Destiny guy, huge looter shooter guy. We try to do it up, and that's generally every Thursday. So yeah, been busy, a lot of things going on. And last but not least, Flame was in the chat. I see a lot of the LogNet guys. Go to lordsofgaming.net. Again, we're not as big as Windows Central, but we got some cool opinion pieces, cool takes, man. And we really, again, by the gamers for the gamers kind of a deal. And come check us out, man. Show some love on the site. We really got some really cool writers and talent there. But Miles, this was absolutely amazing. You've been killing it. I was in the realm of the Chaturdays. This was fun, man. I had a lot of fun.
So stoked to have you on, man. I know we've been talking a little bit, and I've been wanting to get you on. I'm glad we got to sit down. If you guys haven't checked out Iron Lord's podcast, which I'm sure most of you have, but definitely do it. Amazing long-running podcast. Hilarious. Easily one of the funniest gaming podcasts that exists. Every time I'm on, every time I watch, my face hurts because I'm just laughing. You gotta reel in the Mad Prophet King, who's just dropping the most ridiculous takes week after week.
Who is right a lot of times sometimes.
Yeah, that's what he's the Mad Prophet, because he does get stuff right. As outlandish as some of it is, like it comes true, and it's so good. Had a blast. Hope everyone tuning in had an amazing time. And dude, it's awesome to see. Yeah, you as a Duke now, you're out there, and as someone who's watched what you've done even before I was involved in Windows Central and the industry, if you will. Yeah, you guys are a huge inspiration to a lot of people. So I'm personally honored and stoked to have you on my little show with me.
Oh, nah, dude, you're killing it, man. Miles, I love your energy. Great show, man. And like I said, I try to tune in as much as I can, and it really means a lot. Like I said, to be on your platform, love what you guys are doing as well. It's dope, man. Gaming is fun, and we get the chance to talk these games. Not a lot of people get to do what we do, so we appreciate it and we respect it.
Yeah. The audience of this show is incredible. I have to give a shout out to the people who tune in every week. I see a lot of the same people here every week. A lot of people hyped about it on Twitter, and a lot of people engaging with the conversation, which is kind of the whole format of this show. And I love the one-on-one. I love sitting down, having this guest, and I love bringing in the chat as part of the conversation too. So before we go, I see there's a couple super chats I'm going to get to. A few last minute questions here. Harjeet Chani says, will QuakeCon focus on Bethesda stuff? Add Xbox stuff. Thoughts? Do you think we'll see like any Bethesda? Doom, for example, is something people are thinking about maybe making an appearance at QuakeCon in some way.
Possible, but I say probably not like that. I'm going with like the Deathloop stuff that's probably coming out, this year kind of stuff. But hey, I would love to be wrong. I'd love to get some more surprise on what Bethesda's cooking. Bethesda? Yeah, let's see.
I know. We got a lot of question marks from the old Bethesda slate right now. But I kind of agree with you. I'm not sure that QuakeCon is the format for that, especially with, as we saw with the E3 showcase. Bethesda's it's a part of Xbox now. That's just going to be at Xbox shows.
I agree.
One more from Hargeet Chani, who says, Cog, have you thought about doing Defining Duke as a live YouTube stream and having super chats?
Oh, good question. That is not up to me. That is up to Lord Matty Plays, Lord Colin, you know what I'm saying? Those guys run the show. I co-host, but hey, I think they did talk about doing call-ins at one point. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. We got some fun things planned, though. Me and Matty got some really fun things planned. So stay tuned. Never say never. Things may be cooking.
In the famous words of Papa John, stay tuned. Exactly. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. We are going to wrap this up. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you next week. Peace, everybody.
Peace.